Bonsoir, mon chers. I just got home from work. I'm insane. My hair's like steamed. I've got like mascara running everywhere. I got caught up in a fiddle fig tree tonight and launched a glass of Chardonnay off of my tray into a woman's lap. They were like kind of a VIP table too. It was great. We bonded. She was like, I have vinyl pants on. I was like, great, let me run and get you a towel. And yeah, they ended up being my best tippers for the night. We had an unusually busy night tonight. And it was probably the worst service I've given, definitely. Fully admit it. And I still ended up making like the highest percentage average that I've made so far. And I did like really well for the night. And you know what? I credit it to the fact that I pray before every shift on the way to work. I've said this before in episodes that I invite Jesus to come with me to work. And I thank him for providing me with like a very manageable section in a good place where I'm like close to things that I need, and that I get like easygoing people and high value tables that are, ideal, easy. And, I want to be able to like provide them good service so they have a good experience. So that you have those nights, so like tonight, where no one did anything wrong, but everyone needed me to be there at the same time. So I was trying to be omnipresent, and people were, for the most part, really understanding about it. There was one table that you could tell they were just like, the one guy was over it. Because I had to go back and clarify a couple of things a couple of times, because it was like, sometimes like I get to the point of busyness, and I mean, so does everybody else, where I'm like frozen and I'm just buffering, and I couldn't read my writing, and I didn't want another like fiasco to happen like with the steaks, if you remember that story from Valentine's Day. I'm not even gonna get into it, but it turned out to be a good shift anyway, so I'm pretty tired from it, and I'm gonna hopefully sound coherent because I think that this is good food for thought. So this particular episode, I had like kind of a fun insight this morning, and I just sort of observed that, nowadays I think people tend to like shows, television series, or episodic series, almost even more than movies anymore, because it's like you can get so much deeper in the plot and in the storyline of the characters, and the whole story, you get so much deeper, and you go, you see the characters grow so much more than just in a 2-hour movie. So I've got all my favorite people to watch for new moons and full moons and readings as well. And I've noticed that a couple of times recently, so like they have said something like, oh, this season, or blah, blah, blah. And it made me think, you know what? Life is kind of like a show, and every year of our life is like a season. And each month is like an episode, and each of us are in our own show. And so I was just talking to somebody at work, and they said that they just didn't feel like very great about this year yet. Like they didn't know if they were going to make it happen. And I was like, don't worry, because this is the last, this is basically the last episode of 2021, because it's the last astrological sign of the year. It's Pisces. And so then when we go into Aries, we start over into Aries, and that's the baby of the year, and that's episode 1. So she was like, oh, I'm so relieved. So I'm really just like finishing up 2021. And I was like, yeah, we're only really getting started once spring comes in April. And she was like, oh, every year I feel like that's when I really get started. And I'm like, yeah, because like January, February, March are like the taint. Like nothing's happening during those months. March is like when things like the engines start revving up again. But so episode 1 is like Aries, and episode 2 is Taurus, and episode 3 is Gemini, and you get it, and so then like the final season finale is Pisces of the year. And so it goes around the whole astrological wheel. So every season has 12 episodes, and the episodes have an obvious theme, which is like the sun sign, but they also have an underlying theme, which is whatever sign the new moon was in for the month. The new moon the energy of the new moon influences the whole month. So whatever sign the new moon is in, like for instance, we just had our new moon in Pisces, and so we're in Pisces sun sign, and also the rest of this moon cycle we will be influenced by the Pisces influence of the month. So yeah, so all of our boons and challenges and extra help will have Pisces related essences and themes to them. Then, so we're all the main characters of our show, and we have different supporting characters and guest characters that come and go. The season premiere is a big deal. So for us, I guess we're talking about Aries being the season premiere because that's the beginning of the year. But it seems like for January is also a big premiere time, obviously, because people think of that as the new year. That's when we think the new year is happening. It's almost like our dress rehearsal new year. And then we do all the things to prep to get ourselves ready and everything in place to actually really get started in April. When that beach body season is right around the corner. Hot girl summer! So the season finale is a big deal. And then during that season finale, right now, we're wrapping up all those loose ends like we were talking about in our Pisces new moon episode. So we're in that season finale and we're wrapping up loose ends. We are... things are coming to completion, things are ending, and we have new beginnings that we can see glimmers of and coming around the corner. And so, some people stay in the season finale. Some people go. Let's hope you're not in a BBC series because BBC likes to kill a lot of their characters off every season finale, especially if it's Christmas. And sometimes your season is a cliffhanger and there's kind of unfinished business and you're left thinking how's it going to work out? How's it all going to play out next season? So I like thinking of the year like this. This is the television show of our life. And, we just finished season 2021. We're starting season 2022. Let's see what else. Also, the characters in your series should be growing and learning and being challenged. And you think what makes the show interesting is when the characters overcome challenges and when they grow beyond themselves, not when they're perfect. We love the characters who screw up, who have the most challenges, who, are getting those tomatoes thrown at them. We love rooting for the underdog, but we're so hard on ourselves if we're the underdog in real life. And so I think just taking a step back and seeing life as a show and you're a character and thinking about that, what makes for an interesting show. If you were watching people who had perfect everything and nothing ever went wrong and everything just went smooth all the time, that's kind of what we idealize, but that would pretty much be a pretty boring show and nobody would like it and the ratings would be really low. So you're compelling, okay? So pat yourself on the back. You're Golden Globe winner. So what is your show like? Is it dynamic? Do you need to shake things up? Do you need to challenge yourself? Or do you need to allow a big plot point to happen in your series that you've been avoiding? I think that's it. I think it's just fun to think of life as a show. And, when you think about it like that, the cycles that we live through start making more sense. And we can be a little bit less hard on ourselves if stuff comes back and it's repeating. Because if you think of it life is sort of like a show, and when this happens in a show that, it's totally it's kind of expected. And I don't know. I think it's easier to put things into context and to be easier on yourself, not so hard on ourselves for not being perfect or not being further along or any given thing. So I don't know. This wasn't as deep and profound as some videos, but I think it was still a worthwhile thing to consider. And I think it's going to be a helpful and fun way to think of life for all of us moving forward, because it makes it feel so much more like a game, but also so much more I like, not that there's a script, but you can see like a story arc happening. You can see these paradigms and these stories and the way, you know, because I mean, a lot of us have heard like about the hero's journey being sort of the skeleton of it's a paradigm, it's a story paradigm, but it's structured in a certain way, and certain things happen to the hero. And it's also metaphorical for the person on the spiritual path or the mystical path. And so we become the hero and we are forced to leave the village. So I think that when we think of it like that, we can see the hero's journey. It's like so much easier to apply it to our life. But I think if we could also think, oh yeah, like this month is like season, you know, this is like episode 3 of the year. And I don't know, with that whole theme with the new moon and like the astrological stuff and like different astrological aspects, it's sort of like having guest writers come in for the episode or a guest director, and it sort of like shakes things up a little bit, and there's a different energy in the mix and different things happening and influencing the characters and the circumstances. So I don't know. I hope this was fun. I hope you enjoyed hearing about my fiascos at work. Yeah. Hope you have a good night. I'll see y'all tomorrow.